Bully, and he's always been a bully. But
yo, peace, our way of life, gents. This has been great.
Peace. All right, Carmelo Anthony elected to the Hall of Fame. A lot of dudes be talking greasy about Carmelo. Rob Parker basically said recently that if it was a strictly NBA Hall of Fame, because it's not an NBA Hall of Fame, it's a basketball Hall of Fame. But had it been an NBA Hall of Fame, Carmelo wouldn't have been elected to the Hall of Fame. I don't agree with that, but that's neither here nor there.
Who's
Rob Parker, you know what I'm saying? On Fox.
You
ever seen Rob? The Odd Couple, remember he used to have a show with Chris Broussard?
I know exactly.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
He's got an Isaiah. He's got an Isaiah complex.
Yeah. We don't worry about all that shit. But basically, Stephen A. Smith, who I don't always agree with, but I do agree with him on this shit, said he is a top 5 Knick, possibly a top 3 Knick. Chris Mad Dog Russo, radio legend in New York. If you're a true New Yorker and a sports fan, you've listened to Mike and the Mad Dog back in the days. I might be dating myself, but he basically, you know what I'm saying? He basically said Melo is not a top 5 Knick, definitely not a top 3 Knick, not a top 5 Knick. I think he put him at 7 or 8. I'm gonna play the clip and then I want your response. Here we go.
All right.
Stephen A. He put Carmelo Anthony as a top 5 Knick of all time, and then he said he's a top 3 Knick last week. I had my buddy, Chris, hear what Stephen A. said. I know what's that. Top 3 Knick, Carmelo Anthony. He won 1 playoff series in his career as a New York Knickerbocker. 1. Have you heard of Reed, who won an MVP and 2 championships? How about Clyde? How about Bernard King? How about Dave DeBusschere, who was the missing ingredient? You know how good this guy was? He was the missing ingredient to a team that won 2 championships. Here's King, who scored 60 in a game against the Nets on Christmas Day, who Bird said was incredible. I could never go to. How about Earl the Pearl Monroe, who played on the Knicks that won a title? And, of course, Ewing. How in the world? I love him. And he's not here to defend himself, so I didn't want to do it, but they said, Chris, kill him. So I said, okay.
Kill him, Chris.
Stephen A. or Melo?
They said, Chris, kill him. So I said, okay. All right. Stephen A. Think about it. If you look at the Knicks and you do this logically, you can make an argument. Go ask Herb Klein, who's no longer with us, who has a season ticket holder since 1959. You can make an argument that Carmelo's not even in the top 5, that he's 7, because he's not Willis, he's not Ewing, he's certainly not Clyde, he's not DeBusschere, and he may not be Pearl, and he may not be Earl, and he may not be Bernard King. And forget Carl Braun and Dick McGuire.
All right, lots to unpack there. I'm gonna toss it to. You know what? I'm gonna toss it to Q first. He has some good points there. When I first heard it, I fuck with Carmelo. You know what I'm saying? But so I was taken aback. But when I really thought about it, he does have some good points. I still will put him in the top 5. What do you think?
I think so too, and I think I put him exactly at 5. You know, because and that could even be debatable. Like, granted, we had Bernard King, but he was only with us for 3-4 years, man. Like, granted, and he had 2 really good seasons. Like, what he averaged, 30-something points one season or something like that.
Yeah, and he's a New York cat too.
And he was New York, word up. You know what I mean? Sniffing cocaine and all that ill shit. You know,
why we gonna smut them? But come on, man, I can't let you get away. That's Bernard King, man. How you gonna do him like that?
Man, I'm not.
He ain't chest naked out there with a do rag on. Come on, son.
I'm not. But Bernard King is 4. But you got to put Patrick Ewing up there. You know what I mean? You got to put Willis Reed and you know what I mean?
Frazier
and Frazier. You know, and I think Melo is at 5. And like I said, and this is probably right now because we don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Brunson. People forget what Jalen Brunson could become in the next 5-6 years, bro. Jalen Brunson might be a top 5 Knick. You know what I mean?
And I think when it's all said and done, he will. But right now, he's not.
No, yeah, of course. Right now, he's not. But like I said, this list can be definitely debatable. And I think, it's just also at a different time. You know what I mean? We're talking about the Knicks that won championships, but that was also fucking 30 years ago, man. That's just 30, 40 years ago. And now we got
talking about 52 years ago. Precisely.
52, yeah, word up. But I think I'm drinking too much. But
I know because every year I count.
You know what I mean? And we're talking about Melo, who actually came here when he brought a breath of fresh air to New York when he came over here, man. Like, let's keep it a buck. And then he kind of did, and then 2 years later, after he leaves the Knicks, Julius Randle kind of did the same thing again and kind of revitalized the Knick after all those losing seasons. But if you're talking about just we're not talking about championships. When you Knick, we're talking about just skills, and you it's undeniable. Like, Carmelo Anthony can ball like that, you know what I mean? Homie can play, and homie has mad
He's a
skills.
bucket. Melo's
You know
a
what I
bucket.
mean?
Facts.
And he holds some of the stats, right? I think he had, what he scored, like 62 points or something like that, where Jalen Brunson almost beat.
Brunson's too, yeah. I was at the Brunson game.
Like,
yeah.
But I think I think it's just a shame, you know what I mean? But because I don't know, I just like the way Melo play. I like his style, and I do appreciate the fact that you know what I mean, he came over here and gave us something to actually root for. It's not easy being a Knicks fan, you know what I mean? And now it's gotten better now.
Are you separating your love for him from the skills or the position he should be in, or are does that play a factor in? Because you mentioned him wanting to be a Knick, similar to Julius Randle. Yeah. Are we separating emotion from logic?
Well, I think it goes hand in hand, right? You know what I mean? Like you gotta appreciate the fact for him coming here, and you can't knock him on like what he did. Like, he didn't really have a great team. You know what I mean? He came here when Stoudemire only had one good season, and then just kind of like faded away. They didn't really.
Hey. Stoudemire was a man for us until Carmelo came. Like, they were talking about MVP talk for Stoudemire that year.
That was kind of the same year, though, right? That they brought Stoudemire in
second half of that season.
Wasn't Stoudemire there a whole year, like doing this thing before?
Nah, Melo came at that break.
Came in at the end, at the break.
Yeah, came at the break.
But Stoudemire was a pivot move. They brought Stoudemire in at the beginning of the season, and they were trying to see
in the offseason.
They wanted Melo. Yeah, they brought Stoudemire, so Stoudemire carried the team up until the.
And that was the LeBron. That was the LeBron free agency year. That was 2010.
Right, that was the year we got rid of Gallinari and them. We sent them.
The whole team.
Raymond
Felton, Gallinari, all of them.
Right. So Stoudemire only played a half a year.
No, he played the whole year, but Melo came at the break.
Melo came in the break.
That's what I'm saying. He only played half a season without
Carmelo.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he took them to the playoffs.
Amari was hooping. Amari Cole. Amari was hooping.
They didn't go to the playoffs.
Amari Cole.
They went to the playoffs.
Nah, they didn't go to the playoffs.
Melo got there. No, they went to the playoffs when Melo got there. They got there.
And they lost in the first round.
That season.
And they got bounced in the first round. They got bounced in the first round. And
then they got Jason Kidd, Rasheed Wallace.
And then they went crazy. They got bounced in the second round by Indiana.
But that team was hooping with Kidd and Rasheed Wallace and Melo and was it Linsanity might have been on that team? I can't remember. That's that while ago.
Linsanity was on that team because he got his fame because Melo got injured, and they said that Melo was hating on him and all that.
Porzingis, yeah.
And what my homeboy did with the beard on the other cat, the tall center?
Quinn.
No. You're talking about from Houston.
Yes.
Shit. What the fuck? Light skinned nigga.
And they traded him, and I was mad they traded him because he was a real
like name.
Not O'Quinn. Fucking
he was playing center. Yeah. Light skinned nigga, defensive nigga.
It was
Chandler.
Not Tyson Chandler. No. Not Tyson Chandler.
That's what I'm talking about. Tyson Chandler. Yes,
Tyson Chandler.
Yeah,
I'm mad they broke
Tyson Chandler. Yeah, I thought you were talking about Chandler Parsons. Yeah, Tyson Chandler. Yeah.
I was mad they broke that team up. That team was really
they had hard. They had hard. Roy Hibbert and them came in and washed us up. That was some bullshit. But
yeah, that was some bullshit. But I mean, y'all really
Melo's a top 5. Since you want to scream, Melo top 5 Knick, right?
Melo has to be a top 5 Knick, and I'll break this down in a few ways. Let's go through. Let's just say if we want to put 10 Knicks ahead of him, all right? We can put 10 Knicks ahead of Carmelo. Let's go Walt Clyde Frazier, Patrick Ewing for sure, Willis Reed, Bernard King. Let's go. Fuck it. Let's go Earl Monroe. Let's go John Starks. Let's go Dave DeBusschere. Let's go Bill Bradley. And again, this is just going with history. If we want, let's add Allen Houston in there or Stephon Marbury. Just for shits and giggles, right? Just for shits and giggles.
If you put Allen, you got to put Spree though.
Okay, let's put Spree in there too. Okay, put Allen and Spree in there.
And King.
Carmelo better. Bernard King already had in there, right?
Okay.
Outside of Walt Frazier, Patrick Ewing, Willis Reed, and Bernard King, right? Would you say Earl Monroe was a better Knick than Carmelo Anthony?
Here's where I have a problem with that. I didn't live that. I can only look at the stats. I can't rely on the eye test.
At this point, we have to go by stats. So
right. But this is where my point was going to go. But
excitement wise. And if we're going excitement wise, right, then Stephon Marbury should be a top 5 Knicks because I was there for that. And Steph was definitely an exciting Knick. But
Jamal Crawford.
Jamal, I'm not going to be a prisoner of the moment. Let's just talk what it is.
All right.
We're talking about if we're talking people that broke records and like that literally are Knick staples at this point, right?
Yeah, Melo stat wise definitely over Earl Monroe.
Okay, is he over Bill Bradley?
For sure.
Okay, is he over Dave DeBusschere?
Yeah.
You know what the problem is?
These niggas have chips though. That's the problem.
That's it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that they have chips. It's what they did to get the chips. Like they were just on the team. They were a part of a team of chips. So I get that part. But were they a better player than Carmelo Anthony?
Yeah. No. Better than DeBusschere. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
All right. I'll give somebody who didn't have a chip, who was an absolute Knick staple.
Yeah.
Is Allen Houston a better Knick than Carmelo Anthony was career wise?
No.
Pure shooter for sure. Shooter for sure.
Not even close.
Was Sprewell?
Oh, I love Spree. I'm a Spree guy.
I love
he wasn't. But I got to be honest. I got to keep it a buck. Nah, he wasn't better.
In his tenure, no, he wasn't, right? So that's where it pretty much leaves off. You know, even if we want to say John Starks didn't win nothing either. He was just exciting, and he didn't have the numbers that Melo put up. He didn't have the career that Melo has. Melo's in the Hall of Fame now. Is John Starks in the Hall of Fame?
What's the criteria though? Can I ask you this? Because I don't even know it. Is it stats? Is it love? Is it a combination of both? Like what goes into being a top 5 Knick, right? In your opinion,
let me ease in here. So here's where I think we lose it all, right? And this has always been my take when I heard this. I think we're confusing Carmelo being a top 5 Knick with and what he's done playing for the Knicks versus the body of his career. As far as
top 5 Hall of Fame or player for the league, nigga.
I'm good. See, here we go. I'm good with that.
I'll piggyback on what you were saying, but I think I know where you're going with it.
No, I'm 1,000% good with that. But when we look at what he did when he was in a Knick uniform, he played 7 seasons, and he only got 1 playoff win. So if we're looking at what he created for the New York Knicks, just off of sheer what do we as fans want? We want to win. We want the Knicks back. Stay with me for a second. We want as fans of the New York Knicks.
I agree with
you. We don't care about all that other shit. We care about what do we want to happen as a Knicks fan. We want our team to go to the playoffs. We want our team to make deep runs in the playoffs. We want our teams to win chips, and if not win a chip, be absolutely capable of winning a chip or in the running of winning a chip every single year. I can't sit here and say that for the 7 years that Carmelo was in a Knick uniform, we were in the best position. Now, just to be fair, it wasn't all Carmelo Anthony's fault. Like, he's 1 player out of 12 every year. And we didn't have the best supporting cast around him for a good portion of those years. And I can say that. But we can't confuse what he meant to the league versus what he meant to the Knicks. And that's where I think the conversation gets convoluted because he's such a beloved player for what he did in his 8 seasons with Denver and his 7 seasons with the Knicks. And then even after the fact with the couple of seasons with Houston, Portland, Oklahoma City, and then LA, right? We have to be cognizant of what that guy meant to the league and like what we saw. We witnessed a fucking great one. Like there's nothing that can be said about that. But at the same time, we have to separate that from what the fuck he did when he was here. And he was great when he was here, but I don't know that you can put him ahead of some of the great ones that put us in position to either win a chip or at least come a little bit closer than what Carmelo did when he was here.
So Jay, where's he at on your list?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Jay, where's he at exactly? Where's he at on your list?
You name 5 Knicks better than him?
You did already. Like, to be honest,
no. Okay, so give me your 5.
Give me a top 5.
There, and I'm gonna look at the list just so I make sure I got it the way I want it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would probably put. I don't know. I'm putting DeBusschere up there and getting that fucking crazy with it. But if I really wanted to go off of what people meant to the Knicks, I'm definitely, and I'm not putting this in any order. I'm gonna put Ewing in there.
You gotta do it for 5 people ahead of him.
Yeah, we didn't even mention Ewing. That's crazy. Wow. Okay.
I did. I mentioned Pat.
You mentioned
Pat.
Yeah,
we're bugging the fuck out. I'm putting Ewing in there. I'm putting Bernard King in there. I'm putting Phil Jackson. I'm fucking with you. I knew you.
I was about to say. I
was about to shut his mic off. I was about to shut the nigga mic off.
Homie got 2 chips, but he don't. You know what I mean? You can't put the entire Knick team just because they won 2 chips.
That nigga's a bull, and he came back and killed the fucking Knicks. Go ahead.
He was annihilating us. But I would probably I'd say. Hey, but what I say, Bernard King. I'd say, to be honest, I know this is going to be an unpopular take, but I'm going to say I like Latrell in there, man. Like Latrell did a lot for the Knicks that when he was with us. I can't unsee.
That's 3. That's fine.
During that 5 years.
That's 3. Go ahead. Give me 2 more.
I'd probably even go Mark Jackson in there if I really want to get creative and you know what I'm saying. Right. Earl Monroe has to be mentioned 1000%. Like I'm never gonna.
I love Mark. Mark is my favorite player of all time for the Knicks.
Walt Frazier,
but his tenure wasn't long enough. Mark, I can't.
I got you. Walt Frazier. I'd go Walt Frazier, Earl the Pearl, Bernard King, Ewing, and I'd probably say I'd probably say Sprewell, bro. Then Melo.
Sprewell.
Just off a contribution.
I can't be mad at your list.
I'm not mad at it.
Mad at your list at all, but. Charles Sprewell is not a Hall of Famer.
But we're not talking about Hall of Famer. We're talking about what.
No, but that's a good point. No. He's got a good point.
Hall of Fame is what he meant to the league. What he meant to the Knicks is 2 different things, bro. Guys, we have to be fair.
But guess what though?